The whole Riot Games MMO saga continues. NCSoft might be in production of Ion 2. All that and more. I'm Zach Sharps, and this is Free to Play Weekly. First up in the news this week, we've talked about Spatial OS a few times here on MMOBomb.com, most notably that Jagex is creating a new free-to-play game based on the technology. Now, another big company in the free-to-play space is also jumping on board the Spatial OS train to the tune of $50 million. The company in question is the Chinese behemoth NetEase, and they shelled out all that dough for shares of Improbable Worlds, the makers of Spatial OS. Due to this partnership, it was stated in a recent press release that, quote, first NetEase game using Spatial OS technology to be announced later this year, end quote. So the fruits of the partnership is already coming sooner rather than later. If you ever thought that the CCG market was dying down, it's not. In fact, digital CCGs are a huge moneymaker if the latest report from SuperData is anything to go by. According to the report, the CCG video game genre is set to bring in $1.5 billion by the end of the year. Moreover, they're projected to be pulling $2 billion by 2020. As for where players are partaking in this genre, 71% say their phone, 47% are on the PC, 44% are tablet, and 26% are on consoles. Each of those numbers aren't too surprising, maybe the console numbers, but the fact that Hearthstone is still the most played game according to this report isn't really that surprising either. What is surprising is how CCGs as a whole are still growing at an exponential rate, despite there not really being any huge new releases. Great news for the genre and those who love it. Remember last week when I asked if you all wanted a League of Legends MMO? Well, after Mark Merrill mentioned that there wasn't one in the works, he then ended up talking with VentureBeat, and when asked if Riot is currently working on an MMORPG, Mark mentioned that he wasn't going to, quote, answer that directly, end quote. After which, he did explain his thoughts on the current MMO scene and that Riot is exploring a lot of stuff right now and thinking about a lot of stuff right now. So it's becoming even more clear that Riot has indeed been looking a lot into the possibility of an MMORPG, but whether or not one will ever come out by the giant is still up in the air. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. If you're like me and are still holding out for an Ion 2, you might be happy to hear that NCSoft seems to have a new MMO under the Ion IP in the works. MMO Culture came across a job listing from the Korean-based game developer looking for an animator to work on a project based on the Ion IP. The position describes a new Unreal Engine 4 project as a, quote, next-generation console and PC MMORPG. Now, unless there's a translation error going on there, and a big one at that, that sounds like to me that a new Ion is in the works, and all I gotta say is take my damn money. That said, it's time for the question of the week. Last week on the show, I asked if you all would like to see a League of Legends MMO. A user by the name of Rukesa stated the following: I wouldn't necessarily like to see a League of Legends MMO, but I would certainly love to see an MMO made by Riot Games. They know what they're doing when it comes to sound effects, art style directions, etc., and they certainly know how to make a player base absolutely passionate about a game. This week, if you wish to read your comment to be possibly featured on next week's show, make sure to leave a comment down below. This week's question is, do you want NCSoft to create an Ion 2? Why or why not? Last up in the news this week, Phoenix Labs posted a short blog showing off some of the stuff that would arrive in Dauntless with the coming storm. As it turns out, the coming storm would be rolled out in parts rather than just being one huge content drop. The first bits of the expansion are expected to arrive on August 8th and will include a new behemoth, new island, new storyline, an update to Ramsgate, quests, armor, weapons, grenades, and more. The next update coming later this month will include new gear, a new reputation track, and more. Plus, there's content outlined beyond that as well, so if you're still enjoying the Monster Hunter style title, you'll likely be enjoying it for a lot longer. You know what you'll always enjoy? Giveaways, of course. Yes, head on over to MMOBomb.com, check out that giveaways page, bookmark it, and check it daily to ensure you never miss one. As for myself, signing out until next week's show, my name is Zach Sharps, and I'll catch you guys next time.